Hi, I'm Sheriff Jason Mikesell. I'm with the Teller County Sheriff's Office. Today with me, I have Congressman Jeff Crank, Commissioners Dan Williams, Eric Stone, Bob Campbell. From the City of Cripple Creek, I have Cody Schwab, the City Councilman, Chief Bud Bright. From Woodland Park, I have Mayor Kelly Case. Police Chief Deisler couldn't make it today, he's been sick. City of Victor, I have Councilman Buck Hake. From ICE, I have Assistant Field Director Robert Coltrip. And here's what I wanted to talk about today. I want to talk to you about our partnership with ICE and really what that means for us and what it does. Because here's the biggest thing we found. We are dealing with foreign nationals and criminal and illegal aliens within our county. We're rural Colorado, or what people see as rural Colorado. And I'll tell you, it's just not a Denver issue. It's not just an Aurora issue. It's just not an issue for big cities. It's an issue for every small community in America right now. And I'm going to show you why and what we've done and help and work with ICE. So recently we've arrested 4 different individuals that we are investigating with ICE. One of the first one is from Venezuela, Jorge Alexander Cardona, conspiracy to commit forgery and forgery. Now what's happening is we're having titles that are being forged and brought to our clerk's office, and through the very quick and smart thinking of our county clerk and recorder, Stephanie Keys, she was able to identify that they were actually forged. Those forgeries are on Colorado state documents. It's an illegal offense to forge something in Colorado. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you commit a crime in our county, because of our programs and our commitment to working with ICE, we are going to locate you. The second person was Jady Rondo Paez. She was also arrested for forgery and attempt to commit forgery for those same documents. We arrested a gentleman named Gregorio Gonzalez. He's an FTA warrant for larceny and an FTA warrant for no insurance and registration on vehicles out of Aurora and Lakewood areas. The last person I have was also from Venezuela, and that was Jorge Alexander Cardona for conspiracy to commit forgery. So those 4 people, 1 from Colombia and 3 different people from Venezuela, were all arrested on charges in Teller County. We are working with ICE on those same individuals, and they have taken several into custody. And I wanted to explain that it's not just that issue here in Colorado. It's an issue all across our nation, but here locally we have the same issues. We have another party we want to talk to you about today. Renee, can you please bring that photo up? This is a picture of Luis Chavez. This gentleman is a criminal illegal alien also in the United States. He's a person of interest in a homicide that was conducted in this county, and we are attempting to locate him. In the past, without being able to work with ICE, this is a person we would not be able to locate. Because we have local charges and we do our own criminal investigations, and we need to locate this person, I'm asking the public to please let us know if you run into this person. We need to see him. We need to speak with him about a crime that was committed within this county. So he is a person of interest. So all of these parties would not be possible to deal with if it wasn't for ICE. And that's why I'm standing in front of you today to tell you that in the state of Colorado, and I know there's a lot of rhetoric at the state capitol about these people aren't doing anything wrong, we don't have these issues, we don't have a Venezuelan problem, we don't have gang issues in the state of Colorado. I'm here to tell you today that we do. And what I'd like to do is turn it over to Congressman Jeff Crank to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate all that you're doing here and the efforts of local law enforcement all across Colorado. And I know they've been frustrated. They want to do their job. And part of their job is working with other law enforcement agencies to get bad people off the street. That's just common sense. And that's really the only way our government works, is if different branches or different levels of government work together for the good of the people. And that's really what we're asking here. Myself, Congressman Gabe Evans, and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert sent a letter to the governor the other day, asking him, because he did say in his State of the State address that he would cooperate with federal agents coming in and doing their job. And our letter just simply reminded him, that's good, we hope that that's true, but there's a little problem with that, in that there are several bills that have been passed that he signed into law that created what they like to call a sanctuary state for illegals. And we called on him to repeal that law. And I would just say this, there's one person in Colorado who could make that happen, and that's Governor Jared Polis. If Governor Jared Polis were to call today for those bills that he signed to be repealed in this legislative session, he'd have the votes of almost every Republican at the legislature, maybe every Republican, and he'd probably have half to 3/4 of the Democrats. It would happen if Governor Polis wanted it to happen. And so that's simply what we're asking, is for us to all work together to solve this problem. There's a very clear message sent in November here in Colorado and across the country. And that message was, we want the border crisis solved, we're tired of the crime, and we want it fixed. And this is an opportunity for Democrats and Republicans to come together and work together. And I'm not here to call out the governor and try and make political hay out of this. We sent a letter asking that question. We'd love to work with them. I think it would be great. And I'd stand at a press conference with Governor Polis and say that he did the right thing if he repealed those laws here in Colorado. So thank you for being here today.
Commissioner Dan Williams, who's the chairman of the Teller County Commissioning Board, would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, Congressman. It's an honor to have you here. Hey, I want to put a sharp point on it. So I'm Dan Williams, Teller County Commissioner. I'm here with Bob Campbell and Eric Stone, fellow commissioners. I happen to be the chair this year. As importantly, we have the mayors of our 3 incorporated cities, city council members, and all the chiefs of police. There is no light between us on this issue. Look, we've long talked about an urban-rural divide in Colorado. In fact, the legislature is off to running again with almost 200 bills in the first 200 days or 2 weeks. And I will tell you that we look at those things. When a city called Denver creates a sanctuary and then we begin to see a change in policy, where do you think those folks go? So look, as a reminder, 75% of Colorado is rural or frontier. Teller County is one of those. These folks, these criminals were captured less than 3 miles from my house. They were captured in the cities that are represented by the mayors and council people behind us. It's not just Teller County residents. It's a big tourist town. We've had ice castles up here with 40 to 50,000 people. We've got casinos here. It's not just urban or not just rural residents that are at risk. It's you too. And we stand next to our law enforcement and the rule of law. It is wrong to tell local officials that we can't cooperate with federal agencies. This is the United States. And by the way, this is Colorado. This is a Colorado issue. So the policies that happened in Denver with sanctuary cities have now impacted rural Colorado, and we've had enough. And so we stand with our sheriff. I agree with our congressman and with the sheriff. We need to work together on this. In a few minutes, the sheriff's going to talk to you about a bill that we've introduced. And we're going to go fight, and we're going to try to get this fixed. And look, a final message to those in Teller County and those all throughout rural Colorado. Don't take matters into your own hands. I know we're heavily armed. You know, we're excited about this. We're upset about this. We're done with this. But I'd ask you to continue to have faith in your law enforcement officials. If you see something, say something. And that includes the tourists that come up here. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Contact one of our local law enforcement people or one of the hotlines. And for those in our community, we're a small community up here. We know everyone. We've long since had a long Latino community. We've had a long community of color. Feel safe. That's not what this is. This is about illegal criminals who have known records, who are leaving the cities now in droves because they think they have sanctuary in the high country. You have, in fact, turned us back into the wild, wild west, and we know how to deal with that. So again, I really appreciate the congressman being here. I really appreciate Jason Meisel. We stand with our law enforcement in Teller County. We'd ask the rest of Colorado and our legislators to stand with us so we can fix this problem. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Dan. This year with Mark Baisley's assistance, who's our Colorado State Senator for our district, I sat down with him and wrote a bill. That bill is 25-047. I and Sheriff Joe Roybal out of El Paso County have come together to work on this bill to assist our state with repealing the laws that have been set forth previously by the legislature. This law would then allow law enforcement to work with ICE to be partners with ICE to deal with the criminal illegal aliens. So I want to make it specific and understood, because what oftentimes happens is someone says, well, you're just going after those people as like stop and ask for papers. We're going to remove children. We're going to do those things. That's not the case. What we're looking at is criminal illegal aliens that are a cost on our taxpayers, a tax on our correctional facilities, that are a tax on our prosecution, and the cost of the taxpayers throughout Colorado. Some of these run over $100 million in these programs to have to hold somebody in a prison, in a parole issue, or in a state issue for all these types of charges when they should not be here and they need to be deported from our state. If you're going to commit a crime, you should not be here in this state. So what we are only dealing with is criminal illegal aliens. Last year I went to the legislature and they wanted to tell me that we have no such thing as illegal aliens. We do have illegal aliens. But what we requested was to deal with the criminal illegal aliens. I think we all wish that they would do something to change how we deal with illegal aliens coming to the U.S. and fixing some of the issues so they can be legal to work here. But the issues that we deal with as law enforcement are very specific, and that's outlined in the bill. It also talks about the fact that we don't do roundups, because we as law enforcement don't. We use probable cause in the attempt to contact somebody, find if they committed a crime, and then if they're a criminal illegal alien in the United States, that's when they would be deported or they would be dealt with by ICE. But without those partnerships, this is why we have cartels in Colorado. Without that partnership, this is why you're seeing a rise in fentanyl, car thefts across the state. I listened to a press conference where we talk about Colorado having reduced crime. I think what we do is we change numbers so it looks like we reduce crime. Because when I stand here and I ask how many people have been victimized by a crime in the last several years in Colorado, what you'll see is about 90% of people raising their hands. And that comes from everything from some type of stolen property, some type of identity theft, sometimes your credit card stolen, and a lot of that is dealt with through cartel organizations. That's who's doing those things. So with understanding of what we're really dealing with and how we're dealing with it, that's what causes us to be able to deal with the criminal illegal aliens. So my hope is that with this bill, 25047, we can actually get back to where Colorado makes logical decisions on dealing with criminal issues throughout Colorado, and we don't try to politicize it and create a state where we don't want to touch an illegal alien or a criminal illegal alien because of the fact that somebody may sue us, such as the ACLU or anyone else. Because I'm going to stand with you today and tell you I've been under those issues for the last 7 years and been on the point of the spear dealing with the illegal immigration issues in the state of Colorado. We have over time have told everyone that these issues were going to occur, and they have continued to occur until now when everybody is seeing it because it's affecting communities so much in our state. And I'm tired of having to sit with victims and explain there's not a whole lot we can do because of these laws that have been passed in Colorado. So we ask for your assistance. We are going to build a coalition, I and Sheriff Roybal, to combat and help push this bill through. And we hope that we have many that will join us through sheriff's departments and police departments and local government officials and our citizenry throughout Colorado. So we'll have more information on that next week as I and Sheriff Roybal roll out that program. But I will tell you, we are not going to back down from a fight that allows people to be victimized in the state of Colorado, because as sheriffs, we deal with peace and order. We're here to protect our citizenry. And for laws that are brought up and forth that people don't understand what they're actually putting forward has really curtailed a lot of those things in this state. So thank you, folks. I'll answer any questions you have.
So it sounds like there's a couple different charges for those four folks. Is there a specific location where you found them? Were they staying in like a house or an apartment or a hotel or something like that?
We know that they're staying in this area. And Renee can give you more information on that, Tyler, when we're done with this. Some of that is still in our current investigation and can't be released because we have more arrests to come.
So those four people have been arrested, or you have warrants to arrest them, but you can't because
These 4 people have been arrested,
okay.
and several of them have already been transferred to ICE detentions.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
piggybacking off of that, are you guys going to be conducting any more raids? Or I guess that might be the appropriate way to phrase this, but are there plans with ICE to be conducting any more raids up here in Teller County?
Well, we're not doing raids. So this is part of an extension of our 287G program, which, by the way, is still well and good in this county. This Court of Appeals and the ACLU wanted to put it out that we can no longer do that. The State Court of Appeals agreed that I can have a 287G program. I still have it, and it's still well and good. And we're still violating people through those issues and giving them to ICE. So that 287G program is, again, alive and well. So yes, do I continue working with ICE on these issues? Yes. If ICE is conducting an investigation in Teller County where they need our assistance, I will gladly give our deputies for that assistance. If they request that assistance through us, they're always going to get it. They are a federal partner. At no time in the United States' history have we ever told a federal agency that we would not assist with those things until Colorado decided to do that. So just to be clear, we're going to continue to assist. And I think more and more sheriff's offices are going to be doing that.
Can you just kind of describe, because there's obviously a discussion of the law that you guys are trying to put forward and the one that you've kind of been dealing with that's kind of handcuffed you here and there. I guess just kind of describe what the difference is of what this agreement has allowed you to do, what maybe these new federal policies might allow you to do, or what you might do differently in relation to still following Colorado law.
Well, I think right now, we're always follow Colorado law, regardless, right? Colorado law does not stop me from doing an investigation with ICE, right? I think it was a perception of the law that did so. Now, the other side of that, though, it does stop us in holding detainers. So that means I can't hold someone and then turn them over to ICE or just a detainer. Now, once they're released, I can have ICE pick those parties up, and we can work with ICE, and we're still going to do so. On the investigation side of it, the federal law and state law both say that I can assist with those investigations, and we're going to continue assisting with those investigations. That won't stop. But there is more determination on courts, I'm sure. But I got a funny feeling a lot of this is going to be repealed here shortly. Either one way or another, it's going to have to change because Colorado citizens are way too often the victims of crimes done by criminal illegal aliens now.
And can you just to clarify, so this, the man here on this poster, it's a person of interest. What was the relation to working with ICE that you were able to do this? You're saying this wouldn't have been possible.
ICE is helping us locate that person now. Because previously, since this person is illegally in the United States, at some point I'm really not even supposed to talk to them, right? So now with their assistance, we're going to find this person. Any other questions?
How is this conjunction with ICE going to work? How are you guys?
Well, it's going to work well, I'll tell you that.
And for those people that are coming here illegally, that don't have crimes, that are not doing the bad things, how is that kind of, or what is your message for them? I know they came in here illegally, and that's a big no-no. But what's your message for them to be afraid, to not be afraid, to kind of showcase themselves, come out, and be like, hey, you know what?
I can answer that really easily, right? We don't care. If you don't end up in my jail and you've not done a criminal offense and you're not under investigation for a crime, I don't care. And at this point, I don't know that ICE wants to deal with that anyways. I think they're looking at criminals. We want to deal with criminals. And that's all we're asking for in this state is to be able to deal with criminals. So instead of harboring them, instead of sanctuarizing our state, let's deal with the issues that are criminal. No person should walk free from a jail in Colorado if they have sex assault charges and are from another country. And here's the other side of that. All of these laws are creating more of a victimization within people that don't talk, right? So that's the bigger issue that we're seeing. The belief was in the legislation that it would protect illegal immigrants from being charged or being deported. What it really did, they were not going to be charged or deported most likely anyways. The issue for them is that we release that criminal illegal alien back into their groups because that's who they have families with and that's who they have friendships with because that's where their cultures come from. And then they're preyed upon again, and they know not to tell us what they're doing. So that's why your sexual trafficking has become so big. That's why your fentanyl. That's why your gangs. That's why homicides like these happen. All of those issues are what we want to deal with. That's the criminal aspects.
How hard is it for you guys to catch them or to find them, since some of them don't have IDs, some of them live under other names, some of them buy even pens and things like that, like Social Security? How hard is it?
Oh, it's extremely hard, but that's why we have ICE. That really is that piece that joins that together. Because you got to understand, if you commit a crime here in Colorado, right, and you leave and you go to another state and we've not identified that person to ICE that this is an issue, they may be out on bond. They may be able to go victimize other states, and they don't care because they may have 2 or 3 different names, one in this state, one in this state, because in Colorado law, we only see them for what their driver's license or the information that we have. We don't know that they violated coming across the border 3 and 4 times and had been into fentanyl distribution and those things. That's where ICE comes into play, and that's why it's so important. How many people in Colorado are tired of dealing with cartels in their counties and in their cities? How many people are dealing with the fact that they can't raise their children in an area that they used to be able to because of all the shootings and the gang issues that are cartel driven? We have a cartel problem in the state, and until we start working with ICE, we're not going to get rid of it. So I will tell you, you have to deal with it at that source, and you have to work with ICE.
So you think this is going to lead into profiling?
No.
I don't know, as my neighbor, and he looks a little bit Hispanic or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm going to call the ICE just on them because this matches what you're saying, or this matches the type of person.
Yep.
And if not, how can people differ that?
Well, it won't happen. See, in Colorado, we have laws that deal with probable cause and contacts for reasons, right? In this law that I'm just talking about, we're going to give you a copy of this. It basically talks about that the only reason we are able to contact you as state law enforcement officers is because we have probable cause to do so. So unless you steal a car, unless you commit domestic violence, unless you do those things, we're not going to know. That's why we're going to come for you, right? Now, once we identify those factors, and you're not from here, and you're here illegally, and you've done criminal activity, and you become a criminal illegal alien, that's when we're going to deal with you. The whole profiling thing doesn't happen in law enforcement anymore. We have so many things set against it and policies to stop those things. A lot of people like to throw that out there because they want to say, oh, law enforcement is bad because you're profiling. No, you've committed a crime. That's what we deal with. It's probable cause. And that's why we're out there. Yeah, Tom.
Clarification, and then just one final question is, so just to go off the answer you gave before, in terms of following the laws you say you always had, so are you or are you not prepared to detain any people on behalf of ICE?
If it's for a criminal investigation in Colorado and we arrest them for a charge, that's when we detain. For us. And then they go through our 287G program that identifies somebody that's here illegally, criminally, and that ICE wants those people. So, and then they detain those people.
You said you have,
Sorry, this is my one other, is, as far as, and this may be more of a ICE question since you're the one that maybe handles deportations. Should a deportation happen for, for example, maybe a person sentenced on a murder case that is serving, as a state sentence or is in the process of getting a sentence?
That's an ICE question. I'll tell you quite honestly, though, why do we want to keep paying for somebody in our prisons that have done something here? Why don't we want to send them back to those countries and make them pay for it? Venezuela released a lot of their inmates to come to the United States. Guess what we're dealing with? You're dealing with criminals, right? So why do we need to continue doing that? Yes, ma'am.
yeah, you said you had a difference in perception from Colorado law currently on cooperation with ICE. What is that difference in perception?
Well, I think there's perceptions by some law enforcement organizations that as soon as they touch an illegal alien or a criminal illegal alien, they're going to be sued, right? Because the ACLU sent out a threatening letter to all the sheriffs basically saying, we sued Teller County, so we'll sue you if you deal with this. Because they're worried. Because if all of Colorado law enforcement start arresting people like they should be, it's really going to create havoc for them because those laws are going to be overturned very quickly. And they're the ones that got those in place because I was doing these things, right? So it will change.
Would you support, at some point, if it was possible, the detention of people for ICE in your facilities?
Yes, if it's legal, we are going to do it. Yes. Because if I would release those and not follow those detainers, I'm releasing somebody back into those same communities and organizations that the United States of America wants because they're saying there's a reason for them. What happens if that person goes out and blows something up tomorrow or commits a heinous act somewhere? Who's that on? Right? It's on the sheriff that released him. Or it's on our government officials for allowing it. So some of these things, like the homicide suspects or the issues with rapes that you've seen in the news, whose fault really is that? I would venture a guess that it's actually the people that passed those laws and that have created this for the United States. Folks, I'm going to end questions, but if you have further questions, please submit them in writing. We're more than happy to talk to you. But thank you so much for the day. We really appreciate all of you.